hours? Alright. 2 hours. I see y'all. Alright, let's go ahead and do this. You know what time it is. What's up, ladies? You know what time it is. And I mean like actual ladies, not like, oh, I identify as a lady. I don't, you know what I'm saying? Nah. What's up, ladies? Go ahead and get started. And boom, we are live. What's up, everybody? It is G Mr. Drew welcoming you to another episode of the Andrew Blushesky Experience. This is going to be episode 744? Something like that? Something like that, I think, if I were to guess. 744. I feel like that's wrong, but maybe it's right. Who knows? Either way, Accrue. So, what are we going to be working on today? Hey, look at me. Look at me. Oh, dang. I thought it was the red light, maybe. It's not the red light. It's just me. Anyways, what are we doing? We're going to be picking up where we left off last week. You know, it's funny. With these things, I had a day last week where I cut the stream short because I was something had happened, and I was like, oh, this is gonna take some hours, and it's stuff that I don't do live, you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I'm gonna have to cut the live. Priorities, computers, the robots, you know what I mean? Like, I'll be nice to them and I'll be talking to them, but they still don't. So I'll be like, all right, you know what I mean? And yeah, I was in the middle of working on these, so this is probably what I'll end up continuing tomorrow, you know, for sure, with these designs. So it must have been like last Tuesday perhaps. But yeah, I was working on these as well as another one on the previous page, and we're gonna go ahead and pick that up. We're gonna explore that some more. I was looking at some well, either way, that's what we're going to be doing on this link page today. And who knows, maybe I'll do like a little bit bigger pictures instead of just those 3x3s, just because what I need to do is kind of get something that's a little bit bigger. It's going to have a whole lot of detail and things like that, so I'll just have to make the picture a little bit bigger according to the amount of detail that I'm going to want to try to put into this with what I'm doing today. But before I get into that, it's funny, I still do, let me holler at y'all for a second. So, I still do, you know what I mean? Look at me looking like Red Lobster, eat me up. Hey, so, I still do, like posts on the Patreon, and the posts on Patreon are posts that I don't share publicly, like on any of the socials or anywhere else, not even my website, like, you know what I mean? I like to try to give y'all some exclusive content on Patreon, and yeah, that's still the case. It's only interesting right now. The only reason why I'm talking, like, what I'm getting to right now is I kind of reached a point, like I do a lot of work off stream, you know what I mean? As far as like the writing, storyboarding, note taking, research, like all this stuff I do off stream, and it, you know what I mean? It's a lot, and you know what I mean? I played last week, maybe it was last Thursday. I played my infomercial on repeat. You know what I mean? You're welcome. And yeah, if you watched that infomercial at all, you know, it's my landing page on my landing video, the home video on my YouTube page, whatever we want to call that. If you can find it on my Patreon, G Mr. Drew on YouTube, G Mr. Drew on Patreon. You know what I'm saying? And what's happening is I do all this work behind the scenes. I don't ever share it, except for on the Patreon. I slow roll it. So on my Patreon, I'm posting things that I did years ago, and it's a lot of the behind the scenes stuff before I even got around to really showing, like doing concept art on stream. Like, so it's some really old rudimentary stuff, really early on work and things like that. And beyond that, you know, things since I started streaming, since I've been doing it for 4 years, you know what I mean? Like I'm posting things from like 2 years ago or something now. And I have things that I work on behind the scenes, and I don't label it like I keep y'all in the dark as far as like everything that I work on here. Why am I studying this? Why am I drawing that? What does this mean? What, he's drawing this, but he's saying he's not drawing that. Like you see what I'm saying? Like I keep y'all in the dark. This is really just to, you know what I mean? For you to enjoy, for you to, you know what I mean? Maybe one day be brave enough to actually participate in the chat and be like, hey, like what, you know what I mean? Like, even though I'm not willing to just give you the answers, you can, you're welcome to inquire. You see what I'm saying? So, with that said, like, the stuff that I'm working on behind the scenes that I don't share, I am way ahead of where I'm at today. I shouldn't say way ahead, like it's like, you know what I mean, like the overall project. I'm not that far ahead, but I'm way ahead compared to like where I'm at as far as concept art goes, previs goes, story goes, like all of that. I'm kind of excited, man. Like today, or maybe it was yesterday, and today I went to go confirm it, and I confirmed it, and I was just like, okay, I'm moving on. I'm moving on to the next story. Like, my behind the scenes work that I don't share with anybody, it only goes to me, it doesn't go to anybody. You know, I talk about I got a lot of hackers trying to hack my files, steal my files, people, who knows what's happening, you know what I mean? Like, that's the whole thing about the whole cybercrime and all that other stuff that I talk about. But there, you know what I mean? There's even things that, either way, like, I'm moving on to the next story, and it's really exciting because there was this moment that I had yesterday. I guess it was Sunday, it was my day off, and I was just like, am I done with this? Because I went to go sit down and do some more work, and I was like, oh, there's no more work to do. I mean, I'll still have to do the concept art, I'll still have to do the previs, I'll still have to not even storyboard and write. Well, I guess I do a little bit. But, like, I'm kind of done with the first story as far as everything that I do behind the scenes. It's exciting. You know what I mean? So in the coming weeks and months and years on my Patreon, like, those posts are going to be things, and like I said, I'm posting things that are from 2 years ago. So from 2 years ago, 2 years from now, I'll be posting things that I'm, you know what I mean, that I worked on just yesterday type stuff. And it's really exciting because I was like, even though this isn't me finishing the first story yet or anything like that, this is me finishing a step in the process. And this is a very solo effort. I don't involve anybody. You know what I mean? I don't get to celebrate this with anybody. And I know that maybe sounds a way to some people. Like, some people may hear that and they'll be like, oh, that's a bad thing. But it's what it's meant to be. You know what I mean? You know, I don't know about like writers working with anybody. Like, if there's Stephen King, if he's working with, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. George R. R. Martin, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know anything about writers like that. I know when you're working on TV shows or working on, like, you know, movies, like, you might have like multiple writers. Unless you're a single writer who wrote a script and sold it, then you're the only writer on something. Some scripts they'll get handed and passed through, like, you know, the half a dozen writers before the movie actually goes into production, pre-production, things like that. I don't do any of that. I don't do any of that. I don't run ideas by anybody. I don't share ideas with anybody. I don't tell nobody nothing. You know what I mean? Like this is all like my work. 100%. Not one person has ever put an inkling of anything to do with anything that, you know, goes through the system of my production. It's all me, only me. And you know what I mean? Some people are gonna feel a way about that as well. But it's really weird because if you watch the infomercial at all, watch, you know what I mean, YouTube, landing page, video, home video, whatever they call that, welcoming video, whatever it is. I go into depth about like everything that I'm working on. And there's a point where I'm like, I show like some color-coded cards, whatever, and you know what I mean, the first story is just one yellow diamond. It's all imagery, none of it means anything, right? It's just to show you a visualization of what it is I'm talking about. And you know, iconography, something like that. I'm done with the yellow story, as far as like all the behind the scenes work that I don't share, that I don't do here on live. I still have plenty of work to do on live that I will be, you know what I mean, showing, sharing, doing all that other stuff. That's what we're going to be working on moving forward. But like this was the first story, and I've been like, I took the 5 years off of artwork like 10 years ago or whatever it was, and you know what I mean, I would have been in the middle of it 10 years ago, of like pre-planning all this stuff. And sure, I have like the outline kind of done from the, you know, everything, but I never I hadn't even started writing the story at that point. I hadn't even really started doing the concept art. I hadn't even started streaming and sharing things. You know, go all the way back. I got 700 plus episodes. Go back and start up everything from episode 1. It's on the I'm Back playlist on my YouTube, by the way. The AGEX doesn't start until like hundreds of episodes later, I believe. But yeah, it's I'm just baffled. You know what I mean? Like, I'm baffled because like I baffled myself. like people Google themselves, I baffle myself. You know what I mean? I didn't know that I was done with the story until I realized there was nothing left to do. I'm sure I'll probably run into a thing or two along the way when I'm streaming of like, oh, okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. Talking about like little points of things, but I'm like, oh. So today, you know, while you can see I was cooking. I was cooking today. I cook hard. Look at me, I cook so hard. You know what I mean? I cook so hard, they call me, you know, name a cook. Guy fiery, ain't got nothing on me. You know what I mean? I got to start the next story, and it was like a complete reset, because I was like, Oh, I'm all the way at the. I'm all the way back at 1 again. I'm all the way back at 1 again. Like, sure, I finished the first story, and I can't wait to get this to y'all. Like, I can't wait to share this with y'all. Like, that's everything that, like, the past few years have been about. Me streaming and all that stuff. I can't believe it's been, I don't even know how many years, and I'm over here like, yo, I'm 1 follower away from my follower goal of only 70 people, you know what I mean? But either way, all 69 of y'all right now, you know what I mean? Hey, shout out to 69, right? You know, earlier today I was cooking, I got to start on the next story. It's cool because if you watch the infomercial, you see that 1 yellow diamond moves forward into 4 orange diamonds. You know what I mean? Whatever the stones are, you know what I'm saying. The diamond shape. And I was just like, okay. Like, all the way back to the beginning. This was stuff that I was doing when I started the stream for the yellow story. Everything that I've been showing, well, not necessarily the concept art and the world concepts, like today's a world concepts thing. All the stuff that I'm working on, like on today's stream, isn't necessarily for the yellow story, things like that. Like, world concepts kind of covers everything. It's not linked to the story whatsoever, it's linked to the world. You know what I mean? And the direction that I'm choosing to attack the concept art for the world. Which I've shared plenty of times, you know, no need to go into that. But then when I started doing story concepts, after I wrote everything, I probably did a stream, who knows how many hundreds of episodes ago, when I was like, I'm writing, y'all. I wrote the script, like the actual script, dialogue. I drew little boxes and see, like this thing that I share, right? Oh yeah, I got the big camera. Let me make sure I got like a decent page, or a page that really doesn't have any information on it, maybe perhaps. Here we go. I don't think anybody could understand this. You know what I mean? Like, I know what this is, but like when I work on stuff like this, gotta be careful what I show y'all. Like, there was probably an episode on the stream, who knows how far back it was, when I was all extra excited about, like, I'm actually doing this part. I'm starting to see what it looks like. Now you can see I'm drawing stick figures and whatever, because it's like I'm working on the camera angle. I'm working on direction and all that other stuff. I know the story. I can see it in my head, but now I need to put it from here to here. And you know what I mean? It's super rough when it gets here, and then it looks a little bit rough when I'm doing, you know what I mean, my little drawings here. But yeah, man, like, I'm really excited. Like I can't speak to how excited I am, cause I was cooking and I didn't want to stop. Like clearly, like I was cooking and I didn't want to stop. You see what I'm saying? And I was like, and then I was like, oh, I need to stream. And then I was like, oh yeah, I can't stream because today, you know what I mean, I posted on the story, go ahead and check it out. But like all sorts of things was holding me back. Naturally, right? Every day is something, you know. Everybody always has an excuse to slow me down. You know what I mean? But I started the next story today, and even though I didn't do too much, it was all research. It was all just listing things, getting notes organized, but it was really weird because I was like, I'm all the way back at the beginning. like not at the beginning of the story, but as far as like the process, the production process goes, like my brain was like, oh, like my brain had to go back like a few years and be like, you remember when you were doing this, right? Like, and I was like, yeah, I set all this up. Like, I'm Alex Jones. I got the documents. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm Alex Jones out here. Like, let me see. Like I set all this up. You know what I mean? Oh wait, I got the big camera on. I'm not trying to get this on stream. Let me see if there's anything I can show y'all that's not. I mean, I don't think there's anything I can show y'all. But it's like, these are some of the things that I was doing before I started streaming. Like these notes that I'm going through right here. I refer to them, you know, every now and then when I need to like really figure something out. Yeah, I can't show none of this. I can't show any of this. Can I? You see all that orange right there? Like that's a bit of information. But I'm just a little tripping, you know what I mean? Like I stay tripping. Y'all know me. Y'all know me. I'm tripping. I'll be like, look at me tripping. But like, it was super exciting to go back to just being like, oh, I don't have to work on the next character. I don't have to draw the next sketch. I don't have to try to figure something out like visually. It's all the way back to the writing process and all the way back to the notes. You know, the notes that I took, and now developing those notes into like a little bit more detailed notes and a little bit more of all those notes and things like that. And I was just like, I don't know, man, I'm excited. And I even the work that I did today, like I'm sitting here like I need to actually sit down and look to see if the notes I'm even working on today are extra relevant, because I had already started some of the note-taking process, and I saw some things, and I was just like, you know what I mean, like drawing connections from well, there's a reason why it's going from 1 yellow to 4 orange diamonds, 1 yellow diamond to 4 orange diamonds. Like there's reasoning for that, right? And then so I'm drawing connections, like things that I wasn't able to do with the yellow diamond story, just because it's a singular story. It's like, hey, this is it. Kind of like how this first comic book issue that I'm working on, chapter 0. I've already talked about it, how I'm gonna kind of release it, make it free, let it be available to people, let people kind of like, you know what I mean, read it for themselves, get the first chapter all on their own, and then decide whether or not they like it, things like that, like when I shop it around. And you know what I mean, it'll just be another thing that I push, except it's free. A lot of people like to cry and complain about prices and pricing, and you know, they have to pay money for something, and it's just like, well yeah, you know what I mean, like we all do. I have to, like we all have to, right? So I don't get, you know what I mean, it's just within my own personal life that I gotta sit here and deal with people talking about how, like, people complaining about pricing, like it's just a me thing that they cry about it with, because somebody else tells them that something's going to cost something that's even more egregious than anything I've ever done in my life, and they're just like, yeah, no problem, and it's like, okay, you know what I mean? So I don't really care about, you know, people that cry about pricing. I'm going to put this first chapter out for free. That was always the plan, but just like that first chapter is something that yellow, it's going to be a singular thing. That's why I'm calling it chapter 0 in the first place instead of chapter 1. You know, this yellow story again is just another singular thing. Now that I've kind of got it all wrapped up, all encapsulated, now it's just about actually doing it. It's just a weird place to be in, back in the writing process of doing the research and starting the next story. You know, like I didn't anticipate it. There's a lot, like everything that I'm doing, every single thing that I'm doing since I took those 5 years off of artwork, every single thing that I've done has always been a new adventure. You know what I mean? Even if it's not something that sounds exciting, like I'm gonna stop drawing. Like I love drawing, obviously. Like I draw a lot. Like that's, you know, some people do this, some people do that. I draw. Alright. So when I was like, I'm gonna stop drawing to do something else that I don't do. I'm gonna put something else above the art. Everything since that decision has been a new adventure. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like I don't know how else to describe it, because you know what I mean. It's an adventure nonetheless. Like reading, research, studying, learning stuff. That's all like adventurous. It's like kinda, yeah. Writing something, that's adventurous. It's like a little bit, yeah. You know what I mean? Taking notes, that's adventurous. It was like, it was, because I was putting it towards something. You know what I mean? Putting it towards something that I chose. You know? And I did all that, and it set me up on this path where I was like, okay, you know what I mean? I was doing live streaming on YouTube back in from like 2010 to 2013, 2011 to 2013, something like that. I forget the time because it was so long ago. But you know what I mean, 2013, like my computer crashed and then I lost everything, right? And it's like, I don't know how else to say it, man. It's just, picking everything back up, right? That whole writing process, going on all those adventures to get to the point where I'm back with, you know, live streaming, but not on YouTube. Well, I guess I'm on YouTube now. Shout out to YouTube. What's up, YouTube? But like to come back, and then like Twitch became a thing in that time from 2013 to when I started streaming a few years ago. Twitch became a thing. So then I came back on Twitch, and yeah, man, it's really crazy. Cause starting to live stream again felt like another adventure. Live streaming just feels like a new adventure. I'd already been doing it on YouTube, but it'd been like a good 10 years or something like that since I'd done it. Almost 10 years. And so it was relatively new-ish. And everything that I've done since I started streaming on Twitch, again, it's the I'm Back playlist on my YouTube channel. Go ahead and just start from there and go ahead and have a fun time looking at me. You know what I mean? Picking all this back up after going on these little adventures of research and writing and studying and all this stuff. I got a little bit of that feeling again today, just today. Like not yesterday. Yesterday I was still like, did I do this? Did I do that? I gotta draw this, right? No, I don't have to. I gotta draw. I already did that part. Like I was going over everything that I've been through the last few years as far as like the concept art. For the most part, a lot of it was like studies and concept, right? The Bayonetta study took like a year, something like that. Like, that's crazy. But yeah, like, it's crazy today to start back at the beginning of the process. I started the orange story. I started it, and I couldn't be any more excited. I couldn't be any more excited for this. Like, I've been thinking about like how much this yellow story that I'm currently working on, and it's so dope, and I can't wait to share it with y'all, for all of you to learn it. You know what I mean? Experience it, see everything that I'm setting up for this, and then like everything just gets so much bigger and crazier after this initial story, and it's a really good story. But the entire time that I was working on this yellow story, I was anticipating working on the next stories, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. You know what I mean? Just lining it all up and just being like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna, you know what I mean? But now that I'm actually doing it, it was like, oh wait, I gotta go back and do that. Oh, I gotta write these notes. And then there was things that I decided I was gonna do because like I said, I've talked about it before, especially like when I was talking about the starting this next map and world map and everything like that. I talked about how I written up to a certain point, and in the past I've even said like I written up to like almost all the way to the end, but then I kind of realized the issue, so I had to like retract so much, so that way I'm back to like having about the middle point of the story that's solid, secure, and I'm still just building up to that. Like the orange story that I'm talking about is still just building up to that, right? This whole time I've been working on the yellow story, I've been thinking about what comes next, how I'm going to go ahead and tackle these stories, because now it starts to get a little bit more. And I tried, and this is all the work that I do behind the scenes that I don't share with y'all. I'll share with y'all this, you know what I mean? You know, let you know how much work I'm doing out here. It's really crazy because there were things that I was like, I could do this better, I could do that better. I'm gonna, you know what I mean, double down on doing that. This decision that I made a little bit ago, now I actually have the opportunity to execute it. It's like, okay, it's gonna be so much better. It's gonna be so much better. Like, it's hard to kind of have, like, I could have all the confidence in myself, right? And then I could have all the confidence in my artwork because that's what I do, it's what I love, you know what I mean? If somebody doesn't like it, you know, there's two ways of looking at it. It's like, someone doesn't like it, oh well, but if it's, you know, if the client doesn't like it, I could fix it, you know what I mean? Like, I could do anything. I can have all the confidence in the world, like with art, but like when it's coming down to this this writing process and this whole production, everything that's not artwork, and sometimes even artwork, it's still adventurous, you know? It's still like new, and I get excited, and I think that's the best part, is that I'm excited. So there's no way, I don't care how, you know what I mean, how you feel about me just sitting there drawing pictures that you can barely make out, and I'm being like elusive about what it is I'm drawing, even if you know what I'm drawing. I'll be like, but that's not what I'm drawing, this is just a study, you know what I mean? I need to understand something in order to draw something else better. You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Like regardless of how anybody feels about me drawing, it's like just today, a few hours of cooking, and I'm already like, because I know what comes next. Now I know the steps, I know the process. I did it with the yellow story. Now it's just about, all right, now I'm gonna take these orange diamonds and I'm just gonna, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna go ahead and do that now. And today I got the opportunity, as far as the writing and research studying process goes, pre-writing the script, planning out the script, I got an opportunity to finally do one of those, execute one of those decisions that I made, you know, maybe last year, a couple years ago, sometime within the past 4 years, of how I want to tell certain elements and aspects of this story. And I was just like, oh, I get to do that right now? Because I didn't have anything else to do, because I finished everything else for the yellow story. I was just like, oh, I get to do all this new stuff I haven't gotten to do yet? Like, what? You know, I don't know. I'm just super excited because I was looking for the next thing to draw behind the scenes, stuff that will end up on my Patreon, G Mr. Draw on Patreon. You can follow for free, you know, follow for $1, get a commission. But yeah, all the stuff that goes there, like, I can't wait to start showing y'all some stuff. I recently put my X page on private mode, so that way it's just private. You know what I mean? That way I can post and I can share things and not have to worry about, you know what I mean? So if anybody's sharing anything on there, I either tag them, and if I didn't tag them, then, you know what I mean, sometimes it happens. But yeah, I just, since making my account private, I've already begun to share more than I was willing to share before. One thing, maybe two things, I don't know. Nothing crazy. But regarding the story, regarding everything, the way that I've been rolling it out on Patreon, there's other ways to roll things out, and I just haven't really figured it out because of all the weirdness, of all the weirdos surrounding me, like, clearly, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's really nice. It's liberating to be at this point now, working on this new map, doing all these new studies. It's like the world is definitely developed since I started. So now that I'm all the way back at like a beginning process, as far as like the writing of the next stories go, like, I'm just as excited as I was with the new map. Like when I started the new map, and I was just like, oh man, I gotta research so much stuff before I could actually finalize it. Just because this map is like, now it's substantial as opposed to the other maps before where I can kind of loosey-goosey it, you know, which is why I did that, which is why I started with those. Now that I've tightened up the process with working on this yellow story, I'm able to start these next stories way better. than I was with the yellow one, because the yellow one, it was a brand new adventure. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just gonna do it, and that's what all these 700 episodes have been. You know, minus, I guess, maybe the studies, if you don't want to count the studies as anything that went towards the actual work, you know what I mean? That was just me being an artist doing a study. Then, you know what I mean, go ahead and subtract those episodes from the old, you know what I mean, all 700 plus. You still got like a good, what, 400 plus episodes over the past 4+ years of, you know what I mean? So you can go back and watch me be like kind of nervous, kind of struggling, kind of not knowing if this is right. Is this gonna pay off in the end? Was me starting on the obscure end of the world really a smart decision? You know, am I actually gonna be better by the time I get to the things that matter? A lot of that. Like a lot of those questions that I ask myself, I'm beginning to answer myself. And just today alone, a few hours, I was sitting there just writing, doing research, you know, preparing to execute the next, you know, storylines. And I was just like, this is the greatest thing ever. It's the greatest thing ever. You know what I mean? So, all 69 of you that are here, like, you know what I mean? Shout out to y'all. You know what I mean? So thanks for being there, you know. None of you, pretty much none of you, you know, 99% of you don't talk. 99% of you barely engage. I don't even know if y'all are real accounts anymore. Like, it's crazy because I look at the views that I have by the time I finish a stream, and it's like nothing compared to like when I wake up the next day, and then I see how many people watch the VOD, and it's like a lot of people are tuning into the VOD, and that's cool, but we're, you know, there's zero engagement here. It's like I just give and give and give, and people just take and take and take, and people, you know, it's like people don't even know how to give without giving, you know. How much just some engagement, you know, not messing with the numbers, not messing with my, you know what I mean, streams, not messing with anything like that, you know what I mean, just anything that I see on like other people's channels. It's the craziest thing, because I see so many other channels out here streaming, whether it be on Twitch or any other software, hardware, whatever. I see the type of engagement they have. Even people that have like the same following that I do. Like they still have engagement regularly, and it's wild to me. Because it's like, dang. You know, I come on here and I'm quiet sometimes, and I don't know, I just don't know, like, how people feel about that. Like, oh, you're just an artist, you're playing other people's music, you know, retro music, and you know what I mean, you don't even have a proper microphone, you know what I mean, so I already sound funny, like, things like that. And then there's like people with the same following, but they get so much more engagement regularly, like almost daily. Like if they're almost streaming daily, like every time, it's just wild to me how much I see people that get engagement, and I'm just like, huh, I get zero. I get little to none, you know. And you know what I mean? So many people just pop in and out of my streams, and I don't know. I don't know who they are, I don't know what their intentions are. funny enough, on Twitch, I do have some followers that I do know more or less who they are. I do know more or less what their intentions are. I'm not talking about like good people here. I'm talking about like people that don't have my interests. You know, people, selfish people that have their own interests. And I've contacted Twitch about these accounts, but you know, Twitch, according to Twitch rules and guidelines, whatever, like they can't do anything about these accounts, you know, that I report. And I'm like, hey, this account here, you know what I mean, there's an option in Twitch of reporting accounts of like behavior outside of Twitch, things like that, you know what I mean, along those lines. And it's like, this account right here, and then, you know, 50% of the time I'll get a response from Twitch being like, alright, we'll look into it, we'll let you know if anything. And then I never hear back from them, and then like a month or two will go by, and then I'll go to check to see if that person's still like on my list, and they are. And I'm just like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's really weird, you know, as far as like this whole social media aspect goes, because, you know, I do live stream this entire, my own production here. And there are people out there that are just weirdos when it comes to me. You know, there's just, it gets odd when I'm like, shout out to y'all on the VOD. You know, appreciate y'all watching. But then when there's zero engagement, and then I have multiple accounts that are ill-willed people that Twitch can't see anything wrong with what they're doing, it gets really cumbersome. It gets really problematic. It gets really hectic. It gets really confusing. It gets really gray area when, you know what I mean, these ill-willed people are going to go ahead and make claims on things that they have no right to be claiming. And then there's nothing for me to do about it because I've already done everything I can. You know what I mean? Like if I'm streaming on Twitch and I'm like, hey Twitch, like this account, like check this out, and they're like, we'll check it out. And then, nah, there's, you know what I mean? Nothing you can do about it. It's really weird. So it's like, So when I say shout out to y'all on the VOD, you know what I mean? Shout out to the 69 of you and all that other stuff. What I actually mean to be saying is like, you all know who you are. And yeah, if anybody out there in the world is saying my name, you need to call the FBI real quick. Let's start drawing. Oh yeah, there was something that I wanted to research before doing anything. You know, the last couple of weeks I've been on here talking about like, oh, I need to do some research. While I was doing the map, I'd started the map, I was hammering away at it. I was like, this is cool, this is cool. All sorts of things. And then I was like, oh, I need to do some research. And then I was like, I need to research this and that. And then, you know what I mean? Researching a few things. Like I said, I'm always busy. I'm always doing things. So I don't even get time to research things. So I gotta like research some things. And it's like, alright, so I could do this. So like what I'm researching right now has nothing to do with nothing. I was just like, sometimes I don't even know what to research. So it's like I gotta start with something obscure. So I'm looking up what are the main attractions of Las Vegas. Huh. High Roller, the world's largest observation wheel. Is that like a Ferris wheel? I don't even know what that is. Skypod, observation deck experience. I don't even know what that is. Is that like a glass floor when you're way up? Hoover Dam. I didn't even know that was in Vegas. Red Rock. I don't even know where Red Rock is. Is that a location, or are they just talking about red rocks? Like, look at all these red rocks we got out here. Yo, y'all remember that Chappelle bit of going to Mars? That was like 2-3 presidents ago, yo. What is up with that? We're still talking about it. Fremont Street experience. I heard of Fremont Street. I didn't even know that. I'm not even sure if I knew that was in Vegas. What is the Fremont Street? See, I would have, and this is what I mean by I have to do research, man, because I have to research what all these things are for no reason. You know, no reason. Big bus tours, alright. Exotics racing, alright. Slotzilla zipline, alright. The Strip. See, now that's where I get confused. The Strip. That's what I think I'm thinking about. There's the Fremont Street experience, so it's like, okay, what's that? And then what's the Strip? Helicopter rides over Las Vegas and the Grand Canyon. Alright, it's pretty self-explanatory. Venetian Hotel and gondola rides. Now, is that, putting those together, are there gondola rides on the Venetian Hotel? Is there a hotel with gondolas? You know what I'm saying? This is what I mean by I gotta like research things. I gotta see what's out there, you know. your favorite your favorite TikToker can go ahead and like their mommy and daddy can afford to pay for these people to go ahead and experience these things with you know, little to no gusto, while I gotta sit here and research these things and love it because I get to learn stuff. You know what I mean? I get to learn what. Let me find out there's a hotel with gondolas. You know what I mean? Like, I know that there's gondolas and I know that there's hotels. I didn't know there was hotels with gondolas. God forbid there's a gondola with a hotel. You know what I mean? See, now that'd be the thing to make, right? They're gonna have a zip line going from Earth to Mars. And it's gonna be a hotel that just rides one zip line. It takes 1,000 years to get there. They would never do that. You know what I mean? While they still try to talk about wormholes. Paris Hotel and Eiffel Tower. Now, I knew China had their own, like China builds their own remake cities. Like, I think, like, somewhere in China they have, like, the Eiffel Tower and all of the Paris, France in it. You know what I mean? And it's, like, completely empty or something like that. You know what I mean? So the Paris Hotel and Eiffel Tower, I would have to research those and see what those are. Bellagio Resort and Fountain Show. Alright, Ocean's 11, I'm there. I got one. I know everything. I know everything about, at least, you know what I mean, Ocean's 11. You know what I mean? Doesn't, what's his name, Andy Garcia? Doesn't he run that whole show? Mirage Hotel, Erupting Volcano, and Siegfried and Roy's Secret Garden. Now, Siegfried and Roy, I know them. They're, you know, with the tiger, and the tiger bit one of them in the head. Something like that. People argue to this day whether the tiger was attacking him or protecting him. Which is crazy. You know what I mean? The tiger went tight. Alright. See, like, I would have to research every single one of those things. Let me screenshot that. And so, like, I would love to just have a stream where I could sit there and do, you know what I mean, but I don't really do just chatting streams. Even though I just spent like a good hour talking, like, I don't really do like just chatting streams. It's an art stream, we're getting to the artwork. Alright, what was I looking at before? See, the first answer I got regarding Vegas is exploring the Strip area, which again is the Strip. Alright, I don't even know what that is. I mean, I understand the Strip is like a street or a road or whatever, but, you know, I don't know what it's referring to, regarding to, or anything like that. Experiencing age-old casinos and zipline tours on Fremont Street. See, that was just like 3 things in the list that I just said. Casinos, zipline tours, and Fremont Street were three separate things on that first list I was going over. This they kind of compiled those 3 items together, which is like, yo, they got like hotels going to hotels where it's like you can ride a zipline. Yo, how drunk? How drunk are people ziplining from one hotel room to another? They just got like, they just have like adult workers, like in trench coats, in lingerie and trench coats, just ziplining from one hotel to another. Where do I gotta go next? Yo, get out of here. Get out of here. No, we're not doing that. Like, let me find out they got zip lines going from hotel. I'll be there in 5 minutes, but you 10 minutes down the road. I'll be there in 2 minutes. Alright. Learning the history of Las Vegas at the Neon Museum. See, now that sounds interesting. I would visit the Neon Museum. I would hope that it is actually like neon, you know what I'm saying? Well, let me go check something. Let me hit y'all with this while I go do something. Sorry about that. I had to refill my water, you know. Well, you know what, let me go ahead and keep on breathing. You can enjoy that. Refill my water, grab my tea, you know what I'm saying? Not spilling no tea. Never spill no tea. Yeah, Neon Museum. See, like I would love to research that right now. Visiting the fountains of Bellagio and Bellagio Hotel and Casino. Alright, that Ocean's 11. I got you. Exploring luxury and staying at Caesar's Palace. Exploring luxury. What does that even mean? Exploring luxury and staying at Caesar's Palace. Are they saying that you can go to Caesar's Palace to explore luxury? Luxury is lowercase. Like they're just saying just like things. Explore things. And Caesar's Palace. Like together? What? I don't even know what that is. Pretty sure Caesar's Palace was the one that Iron Man was playing craps in Iron Man 1. Am I right? Enjoying nature through spring preserves. Enjoying nature through spring preserves. They got springs in Vegas. I don't believe it. Like the Grand Canyon, the Hoover Dam, like that makes sense. Alright. I would have to check that out. Snorkeling and cruising the shark reef. Is Vegas on the coast? Where they got sharks at? You know, I ain't got no geography. I don't have any geography. You know what I'm saying? Alright. So yeah, I don't even know if I need to screenshot that one. I feel like everything was pretty much encapsulated. But see, there's things in there that's like, huh. Yeah. I would have to research all that. Yo, do they have a Venice in Vegas? Like, why am I looking at Venice? Or something that, you know what I mean, is obviously not Venice, but it looks like Venice. Wow. You know, here, let me save this picture. I'm guessing this is the strip because it's just one street and it has like so many things in it. Anyways, I'm not gonna look at that. I was looking at something, or no, I was watching a podcast recently. On this podcast, the host, this dude, he was talking about Vegas, and he was talking about how, like, he didn't say it was trash, but he was basically saying like Vegas is trash. You know what I mean? I'm not sharing his sentiment. I'm not saying that that's what he said, but you know, to cut to the point, he's like, yo, Vegas is trash. You go there and you can't. You know what I mean? You can't see Vegas like how you think you would imagine Vegas to be, because the way that Vegas is sold to you. But then you go there and you're like, oh, this is nothing like whatever. You know what I mean? It makes me think about like Akira. The world of Akira, that whole Neo. I mean, they just had a thing. What was it called? Neon Museum. So thinking about Neo Tokyo in Akira, and thinking about those science fiction worlds, Metropolis. Not Superman's hometown, but you know what I mean, or Superman's like place of residence. But you know, the movie Metropolis, how it's like a science fiction, you know, futuristic world, Alita, all those cities that build on top of cities, and then they're very, you know, tall. There's you have like buildings on top of buildings, where now like the old buildings are like the old cities. Then they start building on top of them. Like, you gotta start thinking about like what happened to the permits and everything involved. You know, recently I was doing some research and I learned about like the reason why nobody can just build whatever they want whenever they want. As far as like building within a city, like, you know, there's always codes and this, that, and the other. And like those things play a part in the decisions that you have to make in order to build something. I was also recently talking about like Disney World and how like Walt Disney got somebody to help him figure all that stuff out. So, you know what I mean? I imagine like similar to grabbing all that land, he probably had to like figure out a place that wasn't so strict on code as well back at the time, right? In order to establish something, and then, you know what I mean, code came later. It's really interesting to me that while I was watching that comedian, host a podcast talking about Vegas and basically saying Vegas is trash, and like actually showing pictures of like what the pictures that tourists take of there, and like what it actually looks like as opposed to what you think it looks like, because it doesn't look like what you think it does, just because it's so overrun with tourism that you know what I mean, like it sounds one way, and if you've never been there like me, you think about it like that, and then you know what I mean, you have some people that'll just be like, nah, this is what it really looks like, kind of try to ruin the dream, you know what I mean, ruin the fantasy. And it got me thinking about like when like Neo Tokyo, like I said, like at what point was there the decision to start building vertically, where if there are codes and everything like that dictate and determine what you can and can't do as far as like building something structurally, at what point in like Akira's world did like building on top of stuff happen? And I would have to imagine like Vegas, like you have Vegas in your head, and you think about it. To me, it's Ocean's 11. The Bellagio, it's Ocean's 11. You know what I mean? Like, that's Vegas to me. And I know that's not Vegas. I think, what did Rush Hour 2, they go to Vegas? Maybe? Something like that? I know they were in gambling in a casino. I just can't remember if they were in Vegas. But you know what I mean? Like, that's Vegas to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know nothing about it. But it's like, that's what you imagine a city to be. That's what a city becomes. And then you get a flock of tourism, generation upon generation, right? Until you no longer recognize the city for what it was. It got built to something. Tourism happened on the daily. So much business happened on the daily for years and years and generations on end, until the city that it was built to become is no longer recognizable. And then, like, I imagine, the whole something's got to give. Like, at what point does the code get, like, updated? And how often does it get updated? And how much needs to happen before something like Akira's world of Neo Tokyo happens? If you watch Akira the movie, the anime, you'll see, like, in the beginning of the movie, before like everything pops off, like when the kids are just kind of like getting trouble in school and they're walking around the town, and it's almost like they're on a date with their girlfriends. They're walking through the shopping mall. Let me pull up a picture. Akira anime with girlfriends. Like, I don't even know how to call it because they didn't. Akira anime with girlfriends. So here's a shot with the girlfriends, but there's a specific shot where the camera's pulled out and you can kind of see all of them like in something like a square, but this square is elevated way off the ground, where they're like on the 10th floor, the 20th floor, and they're in a shopping mall square, seemingly. Like, it's really interesting to me. I'm trying to see if I can find that movie shot. So that's them getting in trouble at school, that's their girlfriends, but nothing of like the city, which is what I'm really looking for. So, let me see. So like this is them walking around with the girlfriends, right? After they all got in trouble and stuff. Huh. But like it doesn't show the city, but that's kind of like the part that I'm talking about. Same thing. Like early on in the anime, like you get to meet their girlfriends, in a sense. But there's a moment where they're like right around the same time as this, when they're walking around and there's this really crazy shot that's pulled back and you actually get to see the city. Not like the whole city, but at least the square that they're in, you know? And I think like a picture like that would really show like what it is I'm talking about, as far as like when does code go out of the, you know, code get updated so that we could build on top of things. Huh. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of pictures of them like on their bikes on the highway. You can see like the city skyline in the background. You know, you can see like how tall all the buildings and skyscrapers are. It's like that, but it's a shot that's within it, not a shot from outside of it, but a shot that's within it. And it's, you know, you don't get to see it all too much. If you read the manga, you know what I mean, that I talk about, the manga will show it, but I don't have any specific parts in the manga that I could just pull up a book and crack it open and hopefully find something like, you know what I mean. I probably need to go ahead and read it again to refamiliarize myself. But yeah, it was a really interesting shot within the anime to see that. Huh. Here we go. So this was something. So here was something, but it's a similar shot, but it still is too zoomed in. You can't really see. Where are you at? Web. Get out of here. A web file? That's not what I want. Here, let me do this. See what I mean? Like, that's a similar shot because it's around the same area. This is later on when everything's gone crazy in the anime, and then there's like a revolution happening or something like that, a protest happening, something like that. And but it's a similar shot that harkens back to the beginning of the anime, back when it was just the kids out with their girlfriend. They weren't even really doing anything because the movie really hadn't like popped off yet. But it was a shot that's similar to that, but it's pulled out, and you could see like where they're located amongst all the, you know, within that city, within all that skyline that's in the distance. You get to actually like be inside of it a little bit and see what it looks like. Man. Oh well. I can't find it. In the city? Like if I put in the city, maybe? But I don't want like ground level stuff when they're on the street or on their bikes. Like I want them like when they're up, just kind of navigating their way through. It could have been like a shopping mall. Who knows what it was. Man. You know what I need to do? I need to put on some Batman Beyond. See what Neo Gotham looks like. See if Neo Gotham has like a similar architecture build to it, like what I'm talking about with Akira here. But really, everything that I'm talking about is like, how do cities get to be like that? You know what I mean? When there's code saying like you could only build so high, you could only build so much. You know what I mean? This, that, and the other. Like at what point does that get broken so that way you can start building these mega cities like what we see in Neo Tokyo and Akira? When you start building buildings on top of buildings, essentially. And I imagine it's something like what's happening with Vegas, when Vegas is no longer recognizable, to the fact that they needed to start building on top of it so that way they could start making other things beautiful. And be like, oh no, come check out the new thing is beautiful. And then they start talking about the old things less and less, and then those old things become just regular stuff that is unrecognizable from what it used to be in the beginning. It's like when you see those black and white pictures of your city that you live in today. If you look at like old black and white photos of it from way back in the day, and then you're like, yo, I don't even recognize it. They almost had no buildings there. That whole place has been redeveloped. Like, that's what I mean. Like when they redevelop something and then they just build on top. Here we go. This is kind of like it. I don't think this is the shot that I'm talking about, but it's there. Oh, come on, where you at? There we go. So now I can get rid of this. Get rid of that. But yeah, like this. Similar to that shot when you're like kind of in the city. Like you can imagine you could be in a room looking out of the window, looking out into the city, and you can see that view right there, you know? Like that's what I mean. Like you could almost understand what I mean when I say like they used to have an old city beneath that. And I'm not saying they necessarily like bulldozed it and then built something new, I'm saying they just began to build on top of it. And what does that look like? What? And when does the code become that? You know. Like, they have a bridge going from one building to another, and those buildings don't seem to have the same construction type. So it's like you had one building that was built, and then you had a separate building that were built. Two different buildings, two different owners, two different contracts, two different everything like that, you know what I mean? Probably built at different times. But at what point were they like, how'd they get that bridge built? You know what I mean? Like, how'd they connect that building? How'd that building owner say, yeah, let's build the bridge over to that building, and then we'll have that building built over? Would it have been like the building owners that did that? Did the same guy like own the buildings and then just like, hey, I want to connect them. Like, I own both of them. I'm gonna pull the trigger on this. And then like it just took like one unilateral decision to do it. You know, stuff like that. Man, I wish I could find that shot that the one that I at least think I'm thinking of. You know what I mean? Because it was similar to this, but I don't think it was exactly this. Either way, maybe that's enough. Start drawing. Let's just draw. Look at that. My book is already left heavy. So yeah, this was the here's the map. Yeah, I guess I could start playing with some ideas. Since there's multiple routes a design like this can go. Hmm. Hmm. So crazy. Draw this differently. So dumb. Could have swore. I've drawn 7-pointed stars in the past, and now for some reason I just cannot do it. So dumb. Alright. couldn't I figure that out? Interesting. Alright. So I don't want a 7.8 star. I want a... Dang. Alright. That's the case. Thing. You know, I wonder how much I could draw something like this digitally a lot easier. Because it's really something obscure. And you know, me flipping and dipping all this graphic design on y'all recently, I'm just thinking about it. I'm like, yeah, I got these tools elsewhere. You know what I mean? Not that they haven't always been there. You know what I mean? I just like to draw. But I'm thinking something like this. We'll see. We'll see if I can do it easier with on some digital. So what do we got? There we go. Give me what I want. Yeah, I got that new merch store up, if I haven't told nobody. But if I haven't said anything yet, you can check out the new merch store. It's still under construction, you know, still building it up, whatever, trying to figure things out, but you know what I mean, it's up there. If you're down for any of that merch, go ahead, check it out. It's about as even as I can make that without doing like super math, you know? See, this isn't me really doing concept art. This is me just getting basic design stuff down. You know what I mean? That way I can actually get to drawing the stuff. I just kind of need to see what things look like. You know, episode am I on? 744, right? Let's see. Seven 44. Come on. Lock in. There you go. So that's what that looks like. Alright. Alright. What happens if I do this? Okay. Interesting. And what did I draw here? Where did I draw that? Over here. Where's that on the map? Right there. Tight. Okay. So then, what is that supposed to be? Because we got, right there. Wow. Oh, dang. Oh, dang. Alright. Alright. I like it. So over here, all we got is 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, maybe a 1, 2, 3. I'd be surprised if there's a 4. Wow. Alright. Look at me being kind. And y'all see what I'm working on. See, you remember those streams that I did that were a little bit way back? Not way back, you know. Did I date these? Yeah. May 20th. So what was that? Almost a month ago? Almost a month ago, when you see me drawing random shapes, you know. Is it dark out? Is it dark out? Is it that time? Here. Let's do that. Give it a minute. I guess let's get a few more studies in, and then we'll see if I could actually start drawing something. Alright. Hold on, let me do this. Now we can flip over. Back up, switch it back up. that part done. See, now y'all can see the method to the madness. Could have drew it, just would have been a whole lot rougher, probably take longer. Ended up a whole lot more obscure. Digital art ain't nothing but a tool, yo. On Patreon if you're interested in commissions, but if you're more interested in like digital art rather than traditional art, well, I could do that, you know what I mean? I can go ahead and give you a finished piece of digital art that isn't replicated, you know, traditionally in any way or anything like that. That's the type of stuff that you're into, you know what I mean? Check me out. You know, you gotta look at the Patreon process. I believe I offer traditional and digital within the paperwork. You just check off digital. In which case I will, depending on what it is you want, by whatever means I feel like I need to go ahead and do it. Maybe vector, maybe raster. Not to be confused with raster. Raster or vector. Not to be confused with vector. Oh wow, this is that one. This is that one. That one looked crazy. This is a different angle of it. Whoa. Crazy. Where's my sketch at? Interesting. That checks out. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I was gonna do some studies, right? something. Let's just draw something. Who cares anymore? Who cares? You know, I gotta say this. Yeah. When I sketched this one, I was happy with just leaving it the way it was, not because it was the end of the strain, but because of it was just done. Sometimes you just know when something's done, and I was like, okay, this is done. You know, and I'm studying certain things. I'm trying to get something out of all of these. You know what I mean? And each one of these ended up serving a different purpose, you know, even though I'm drawing something similar, you know, the purpose that I get out of each one is a little bit different. But I just have to say this. When I drew the first one, I hate it when this happens. This is something that kind of just happens in life. Like the first time is the greatest, or the first one is the one that you remember, you know what I mean? Like the first, name it, you know what I mean? The first time you do something, it's so exciting. Not that it's not any less exciting the second time or anything like that, but you know what I mean. And if you recall, when I was drawing these things, this was the first one that I worked on. And this is one of those side effects of kind of just drawing anything and everything, just like when I just dive in and start drawing, like what I'm about to do. There's a difference with what I'm about to do, even though I'm drawing similar things, and what happened last week. Last week it was new, it was different, especially on this first one. And this first one gave me ideas while I was working on it, and I was looking for that idea as I continued to work on it on the other, on the pieces after that, the studies after that. You know what I mean? Trying to build these concepts up. And the idea never came back. And I see it just sitting right there for me. And it's just like, you know, there comes a point when I'm doing a study, and then when I'm just going way off the deep end. Going off the deep end meaning like I'm doing my own thing. And that I'm kind of coming into a conflict of that right now. Where it's like, I know I need to do studies, but I'm looking at these studies and I'm just like, you know what I mean? I could just keep on trying to find what it is I'm looking for, not knowing whether or not what I'm looking for is out there, or I can just make it. See, because here's the thing. Here's what I mean when I say I go off the deep end. When I do something, when it's like, oh, like that's where you're at? Like, this is where y'all are at, because this is what I'm looking at, this is what I'm talking to y'all about. I just did all that geometry on the digital end, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? You think you're keeping up with me, but here's the thing that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, like, embarrassing to talk about, like dinosaur feet, chicken feet, you know, bird feet. Not that I'm thinking about feet. I'm thinking about the shape and the structure of them. You know what I mean? Like, when I say that I got ideas when I was working on this one, and it wasn't even the intention, doesn't this kind of look like a two-toe prong, and almost like there was a third toe prong over here? Almost like Ninja Turtle footprint. Like the Ninja Turtles, how they only have like those two toes? Like, go read a Ninja Turtle comic. They got 3 fingers, and they got 2 toes. They're mutants, you know what I'm saying? But go ahead, check them out. Doesn't that look like a Ninja Turtle footprint? You know? Like, that's what I mean. That's what I'm thinking about. That's what I thought about when I was drawing this. You're watching me, and I'm drawing the aircraft carrier, And you're like, oh, you draw a little aircraft carrier, that's nice. If you miss a draw on Patreon, you want me to draw your aircraft carrier, I'll do it all day. Especially if you like served and you served on a specific boat and you want me to paint that boat for you and you want me to make it extra fly. You know, you want to give me a memory and then I can go ahead and implement that memory, and it won't be as good as your memory, but at least it'll be something. You know what I mean? It's a terrible sales pitch. It'll be better than your memory. But yeah, like I'm looking at the structure of this thing and I'm just thinking about, like, look at the direction of the trail that it's leaving, that it's, you know, cruising in. It's going straight, and this is shooting off to the side, and I get it, it's so the planes can take off and all that other stuff. And maybe it's not even shooting to the side as much as it appears to be because of the perspective. It's probably just an elevated, you know what I mean, an elevated ramp that's running pretty more parallel than it appears. You know, but because of perspective and the elevation, it just looks like it's a prong sticking out when it's not. Like, I understand all that. But doesn't that look like a Ninja Turtle foot? So I drew a Ninja Turtle footprint in my mind. You know what I mean? Drawing an aircraft carrier. You know what I mean? Super cool. Super cool. I love the Ninja Turtles. I love aircraft carriers. I think they're great. You know what I mean? It's a great piece of technology. But yeah, as I went on to draw more aircraft carrier stuff, not to focus on like the actual like surface level of the shape that made, like the prong, possibly like the 3-prong of, you know what I mean, anything like that. But that's what I mean when I start going off the deep end, and I don't even mean that in a bad way. Like that's you know what I mean, when you talk about like artist creativity and all that stuff. Like, that's what I'm thinking about, and I'm just like, when do I jump? Because I need that. I still need to draw these things, but this is still just studying. It's not concept. And right now I'm just like, do the concept. Stop doing the study. But I'm like, but you need to study in order to better the concept. You know what I mean? Like, chicken and the egg are scrapping. You know what I mean? And then there's just other things going on. Like I said, I'm not thinking about the feet. I'm just thinking of the structure of the feet, if that makes sense, while I'm working on aircraft carrier things, which is, yeah, it's a boat. You know what I mean? It's a nice big fancy warship, but it's also a structure, like a foot anatomically is a structure. That's what I mean when I think about things, like, you know what I mean? I start going off the deep end and I start struggling, and I start having to make up all these geometric shapes just so I can get the idea out. But that idea is nothing near anything what I'm trying to aim for. They're just notes, visual notes. You know what I mean? I just needed to get to them faster because drawing them wasn't getting me there. And that's kind of like what I'm worried about, is like drawing these isn't gonna get me anywhere, and I'm not finding what I'm looking for when I'm researching things. But yeah, it looks like it's about that time. Let me, you know what I mean? 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Count the 2 seconds. is something. Oh, but it's a link. It's not. Oh. Oh, it's organized by countries. That's not necessarily what I'm looking for. Alright, what if I do this? I'm getting a lot of info, but I'm not looking for that. Whoa. You know, it's funny, I'm a big fan of like One Piece. And you know, they have like Luffy's Grand Fleet or whatever it is, like all, you know what I mean? Like Luffy has his crew, but then he has like the whole fleet behind him. I just saw an image reminiscent of all the yacht designs that I did on t-shirts back in the day when I was doing graphic design, starting out, and all the yacht, you know, graphics that I used to do. And there's a file over here of the entire U.S. fleet, Navy fleet of boats, like all of them, the U-boats, regular boats, warships, carriers, all that. I was just like, yo, it was all of them. You know what I mean? Crazy. All to scale and everything like that. That is wild. I mean, I'm not getting what I'm looking for. Like, I would like to see... I mean, I guess it doesn't even have to be the U.S., but like all of the U.S. aircraft carriers, like to scale, side by side. You know what I mean? I'm getting bits and pieces of everything, and that's the problem. This is why I do so much research, like off stream, and you know what I mean? It's like, because I would have to find all these things, and then I would have to like kind of coordinate and you know what I mean, take pieces, put them together, and then have like a file of something that's like, all right, this is what I need. Now I can start drawing. And right now I'm just looking at a bunch of pictures, you know, and graphs, and I mean, it all looks great, but man. I'm seeing like a whole lot of evolutions of them, stuff like that. Alright, I just need to draw something that looks you know what I mean? Doing it live. Oh, does that mean that every time you draw an aircraft carrier, you're going to be thinking about dinosaur feet? No. Maybe. I don't want to commission you to draw my aircraft carrier that I served on because you're going to be thinking about dinosaur feet the whole time you're drawing. Every time I look at the picture, you're going to make me think about dinosaur feet. No commission for you. I was gonna commission him, and then he told me he thinks about dinosaur feet. Right? Right? Anybody looking for any excuse to ever say anything, right? want to know something that's funny? Going back to that, what I was talking about Resident Evil on a previous stream. Talking about Resident Evil 9, Requiem, all that stuff. Talking about how I think a bombed out Raccoon City, revisiting it, and you know what I mean, some sort of, you know, horror adventure that goes on in there, multiple horror adventures that go on in there again, you know what I mean. I've heard a lot of like other content creators talking about like, you know, like everybody revisiting it. Probably Chris Redfield. I guess technically he was there, even though like we never really saw him there. You know, Claire, Leon, Jill, just because the Stars, you know, Stars was there in Raccoon City. We just never got to play Chris Redfield in Resident Evil 2, I don't think. You know what I mean? I don't think we didn't see him until Code Veronica again, something like that. So we follow like Jill Valentine, you know what I mean, in Raccoon City. But I think that there's like notes about Chris, whether it's Claire Redfield that found notes about Chris, or Jill Valentine receiving communications from Chris, or just anything found within the Star's office at any point in the game. Like Chris Redfield was there, so even his character could revisit Raccoon City. Could you imagine a pissed off Resident Evil Village, Chris Redfield going back to a bombed out Raccoon City at this point, you know what I mean? But that's what I'm talking about. Like, it's pretty wild. I was still researching more Resident Evil stuff regarding you know, Outbreak, trying to learn about it, figure it out, see, you know, what it was. I was figuring out why I was having such a hard time following it, is because I guess it's a series of stories. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're playing different chapters. You know what I mean? And every chapter is, I don't know. Like the scenarios really didn't seem to connect. There's two different games, File 1, File 2, or you know what I mean, with the first game and then File 2, the sequel to it, and I was just kind of like, still didn't even get down to why there's even a File 2 with this, you know, pretty much the same characters. I'm like, are they still trying to escape, or did they go back, or what is like, why is there, you know, not that there couldn't or shouldn't be a File 2, but you know what I mean, like you beat the first game and you still didn't get out the city when that was the whole point of the game. Like, how'd you beat the game? You know, like all those sort of things. Like, I'm still trying to like wrap my head and learn about those things. But you know, it's interesting because they had like different tyrants models in those games. And tyrants are everywhere, right? Like, I even remember, I think the only Resident Evil I ever played was Dead Aim on Dreamcast, I believe. And yeah, on Dead Aim, I think they had their own tyrants as well. So like every Resident Evil has like a tyrant variant, you know? Tyrants are another interesting thing, you know what I mean? Like, cause I always like to think about just the main, the tyrant in Resident Evil 1, and Mr. X in 2, and then Nemesis in 3. Like, especially Mr. X and Nemesis, I think of them like they're the same. Not that they're the same character, but like they're the same thing, but they're so wildly different. So, you know what I mean? Like, they were created in the same lab, just one went, you know what I mean? Just one either reacted this way or was experimented on this way, and then the other one reacted this way or was experimented on that way. But they're still, I think they're both like tyrant classes or T-virus or whatever. I don't really quite understand it, right? But either way, I'm because I'm deep diving on Resident Evil stuff right now. There we go. Dang. I'm deep diving on the T-virus over here, right? And I'm just thinking, I'm like, yo, like, the city wouldn't just have like a few monsters. Like, I was even thinking about like the hunters. Like, if they didn't wall Raccoon City, those like hunters, if any of them survived, which they probably did. Like, I live in South Florida, and I'm sure anyone who doesn't live here has probably heard about like the iguana problem that we have. I don't know how much of a problem it is. We got a ton of iguanas everywhere, but we don't have oh, look at that, I lost a follower. Here I am trying to gain one follower because I was one follower away from my one follower away from my follower goal, but now I lost a follower. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm 2 followers away from my follower goal. Watch a third person unfollow. Either way, iguanas, hunters, all that stuff. It's like, trying to keep a dialogue going while I'm trying to understand everything that I'm looking at over here. Anyways, like, thinking about hunters throughout the city, they probably would have like developed a wolf pack mentality, perhaps, you know what I mean, rather than just running into a hunter every now and then. I feel like they would have like started hunting in packs, and then I learned like there's a hunter variant that does exactly that. And I was just like, I was already thinking that, and then I found out like they have a variant that already does that, and I'm just like, yo, all these monsters, all these variants, all these, this virus, that virus, and then all these different tyrant types and all this other stuff, I'm just like, yo, like there ain't nothing that Resident Evil 9 can't do. And what I'd like to see is Resident Evil 9 be another beginning, much like Raccoon City and Resident Evil 1 kind of set everything off. We even got like Resident Evil 0 from Resident Evil 1, where they like told a prequel story and everything like that. Like, I would like to see, just for the longevity of the series, just because I think it's an interesting setting. I don't think that they need to throw everything in the kitchen sink into 9. I don't think they will. But I do think that like they have an opportunity to, just like Resident Evil 1 did, take Resident Evil 9 as the third game in the third trilogy of the mainline series. Use Resident Evil 9 as like as a jump off point to be able to make all these extra spin-offs. I'm thinking about like Code Veronica, like the Outbreaks, all that stuff. Like, if we're dealing with legacy characters now, like, people are wondering who this masked, hooded bad guy is in Resident Evil 9 and all that. You know, some people want to say it's Chris, some people think it's Wesker, some people think it's like this or that. I'm like, yo, Wesker rising up out of a volcano and having to cover himself up like that kind of makes sense, you know what I mean? Because he's crawled out of a volcano, he's all jacked up. I bet the people just want Wesker to be back. Running out of space over here. Running out of space. Did not do that one justice. This is what I mean by I still need to do some studies. I'm not respecting this. Super hard to try to carry a unilateral thought from like the work that I'm working on here. But yeah, I would like to see Resident Evil 9 be a jump-off point to not necessarily another Code Veronica per se. You know what I mean? Of like a Claire Redfield sort of focus game or anything. Like that can come in any sort of form. But like how Code Veronica wasn't a mainline series of like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then Outbreak at the same time wasn't a mainline series, you know, numerically. Same thing with, what was it, Revelations? Those 2 games, the ones on the boats and the ones on the islands or something like that. And so it was like, okay, like all these little spin-off stories of these side characters. It's interesting that 7 and 8 were based on this Ethan Winters guy who has nothing to do with anything. You know what I mean? So he's something like a spin-off character, as is. And this is like following the trilogy method. Yeah, I should really just be drawing these things on one instead of trying to squeeze them in. So yeah, whatever. I hate this. I hate this. This is why I need studies, because I don't know how to block this stuff in correctly yet. You know what I mean? Anyways, I was off by just a little bit. So yeah, but I would love to see like more spin-off games that aren't necessarily like I'd love to see the numerical games continue with the main heroes and the main everything and this, that, and the other, but like just like the Outbreak characters, how they were kind of like not STARS members, not targeted by Umbrella, not, you know what I mean, they were just like regular people caught up in the fray of the event, you know, of Resident Evil 1, 2, and 3. Huh. Yeah, I hate this. I hate this. What can I do? Whole time I'm trying